Well,
they put my name in it. They're sucking up.
Ooh.
so
No, it's all blurry.
the people that make your parachutes also make your hats for you.
Yeah,
so we could buy a parachute. So the people that. But if we buy a parachute from you, do we get a hat for you?
Maybe custom orders. This took quite a big. This was a big investment of time.
We buy a parachute.
Out of everyone on our supply chain team, production team, they were the farthest ahead, so they were given a fun task.
Oh, I'm coming back on myself. I can hear myself repeating.
Oh, hey, we're
somewhere.
live. Did you know that? You see that?
I did know. I did know that.
Oh.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you might be in the world. I just thought it would be an interesting thing, and it would be a topic that nobody was expecting. It's Josh's hat. And
It's
this
not
weekend,
Canadian made.
Josh's hat. We'll be talking about Josh's hat.
It's not.
Yeah.
But it's not just that. It's the fact that we have someone from the drone industry, and he used the term "one of my seamstresses."
Yeah, that is. I also picked that. I also thought that when he said it, I thought that's pretty cool because
Don't all drone companies have seamstresses? More than one?
No, we have multiple. We make stuff.
Oh,
You must have really nice suits, then, Josh.
You must have what?
You must have really nice suits.
Oh, I haven't got that far. That seems to be pushing the boundaries of work scope. They made 35 of these hats, 30 of these hats for all their staff.
That's
This
really
Christmas
cool.
gifts. Nice,
I have to say that those are cool. I need one of those today because it was -10 in Finland today.
You get it. You get it.
Cool.
Well, here, I'll just show you what we're dealing with today. Just because. Final track.
Canada's a very
this has devolved into Josh and his world of hats.
look how blurry Canada is. It's a very blurry country.
It's very blurry country. Yeah, like South Africa. No?
Oh, cool.
I didn't see what he was
Look at
doing.
that. Snow. There was snow in a tree out the
Snow
window.
there. Yeah.
Snow.
Oh, okay. Is that what he was showing us, or
Yeah,
his
she showed us
television?
that. Yeah. Now
Yeah, I
we
had
just
some
get blurry.
snow. We've got. I don't know how to play this so that it looks nice though. I think that's good. I think Bruce's hat's the best.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
it's perfectly.
oh yeah, I've got that one up there, haven't I? Yeah, we could put that one. Because we were supposed to bring a hat. I actually forgot that. We were supposed to bring a hat.
It's that dementia kicking in again, Gary.
There it is. Yes, there it is. So, well, here we are then on what was supposed to be sort of a DJI's band. We're going to talk about it. Everybody would be shocked because it was supposed to happen today, but it happened yesterday. And we spoke about it anyway. We had a special live last night, and
Live stream.
the world in America has woken up to it and is reacting to it.
Even the AMA. Even the AMA.
Even the AMA. I'm glad you said that because if only I'd been a bit on top of it. Here is the AMA's reaction. And they come on, hurry up. God, it takes a long time when you click that. They're not happy. They're not happy at all that they weren't consulted.
I never saw that coming.
No.
I don't watch my videos.
No, well, no, but who does?
It's
yeah. But it's come as a surprise to them. And look, they'd previously submitted public comments in early March to the Bureau of Industry and Security that's related to this topic. But I thought, where was it they said? Somewhere they had a great line about they can get around things by the way they did it. Now I can't see it.
Well, I've figured out a way to get around things. It's pretty simple.
What's that? Okay, you tell us that.
You want to import a battery, right? A LiPo battery. The covered list is for UAS and critical UAS components. So you import a battery for an RC truck or an RC boat. And the same goes for the motors. You reclassify them at the point of at the country of origin, and they no longer covered in the covered list.
How does that scale?
Well, if you actually, but surely they'll just pull out the magic dual use card. Then I thought that's by the dual use.
I don't see any dual use mentioned in the covered list. And if it's designed, if it has RC truck battery, like Traxxas make a whole lot of batteries with different connectors, not the normal XT60. They got the truck connectors, that sort of thing. So you can say this is designed for RC trucks. And if you're going to say, well, dual use, well, then you have to cancel cell phone batteries and all sorts of other things that could possibly be used.
True.
And I think it's incompetence. It's incompetence on the part of the FCC, they probably don't realize you can use drone batteries and other things, or other things can be used as drone batteries.
Mm.
Yeah, but that's not going to be predictable for like a big manufacturer. Like for the hobbyist, that's probably a very good workaround. But for like a big manufacturer that needs, I don't know, 10,000 motors for something.
Well, that's okay, because there's companies in America making motors for the commercial drone industry. They'll just cost $500 each.
Yeah.
Mm.
So every drone company is now selling boats.
Yeah, that's it.
Or
Or 3D
hats.
printers, or hats,
Hmm.
or
Well,
motors.
that'd be the thing. You only have to make one boat, and then you can say this is for our boat manufacturing plant.
And then all the other motors are given away free to the end user.
Yeah. It's
And
like when you buy,
speaking-
some of the food you buy, they don't charge you for the gluten. It says gluten free.
Yes.
You mean like
yes.
ciders, apples?
Yes.
Everything with apples now is gluten free.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Well, here's Carl. Hello, Carl. Welcome. I forgot to tell you it was Silly Hat Night for various reasons.
Hang
It
on.
was always going to be before the big announce happened.
I have
Speaking of
something for
making motors, Carl, well done, Carl. Well done. Well
I've
done.
got a second hat too, if you want.
A second
Borrow-
hat. You have
yeah.
you
Borrow
have
Josh.
stereo hats.
Email
Oh,
me your
my
hat,
word.
Josh.
Email him the hat.
Oh,
There
that's
you
pretty
go.
impressive. I got to
No,
say,
perfect.
we have a
Perfect.
winner.
We
My-
do
my
have a
daughters.
winner. You can't steal from children. That's not cool. That was okay until you said that.
Epstein
did. Always steady. Just steady.
Possession is 9/10, guys.
Nine, indeed. So speaking of makers, Bruce had just said people will need to make motors. Now, Carl, I believe you're making motors.
I am. I'm getting started on it. I have production set up in Thailand for the,
Oh, that's an
the
export.
outer
then.
components, right? So
That's where this hat's from. Thailand, Coast End Road.
How does it work if
How-
components are imported? Is that covered?
Calson. Well, so I don't know. I have to dig into the details of the all the new NDAA compliance. My understanding is, as long as it's not a completed item, then we can actually. You know what? Let me pull it up and let's see. Let's explore this.
Well, that's interesting. Do you have further guidance from today, or are you just looking at the previous guidance?
Well, so I was building all this out on the previous guidance. So I have to dive into what the new standards are going to be.
Have they actually published that? I didn't realize they'd published that.
Today.
So you could bring in your brushless motors as a bell and a pre-wound stator and assemble them in your American, it'll be all right.
Hypothetically, yes.
Could that also be done
and-
with batteries as well, though? Could you do that with batteries? Just bring them in and then just assemble them there.
We have to dive into it, right? We have a lot we have to start understanding, and then the nuance of where the gray areas can be and where the hard black and white is going to be.
Well, I think that potentially is so the headline is DJ Arnold's have gone, whoa, panic, skies falling in, whoa, headline. But the nuance in how it rolls out is where the phrase is the devil's in the detail, and that's exactly what it's going to be, isn't it? And it's the fear, uncertainty, and doubt. I said it last night. It's the FUD that this is spreading that's going to hurt the industry more than potentially what's actually going to happen.
Yeah, I think that's it. The fear. I was gaming this out with somebody today, and it's like, okay, cool. All previous products seem to be okay. So if you're about to have a product launch next month, well, that's not fun. But other than that,
Or
you're pretty
previous
good.
certified products.
Yeah. And then you've
But
got
motors aren't certified. Batteries aren't certified, like lipos and things not certified. So you don't have that grandfathering of access. It can immediately be
what
stopped.
happens when they're not certified but they have an exemption? So if you're like low emitting, you don't actually have to have an FCC ID. You'd have an exemption.
If you've got
But
if
it's
you've got
best
an
result.
official exemption, if you've got it documented, you might be right. But if there's just being allowed in under a general exemption without actually being documented, then no, because there is general exemptions for motors and batteries and things. But because they're not certified, you can then block it at the port because it doesn't have the necessary authorization to be imported.
But what happens if it was like, from my understanding with FCC IDs, some are they don't have to actually go through that as long as they go through the testing and show, like they don't have to be registered as long as they're like low emitting passive systems.
Yeah, but passive systems don't normally get an FCC certification.
No, because
they're still covered by the FCC, because FCC's responsibility is to protect the radio spectrum, and anything that can create radio frequency interference is within their purview. And anything that passes an electric current can create radio frequency interference. So a motor, a battery, it's all within their purview.
If the motor is shown to degrade the performance less than a certain threshold, then they don't need that.
But if you've proven that in advance and you've got certification or documentation to prove that, then you might be right. But if you haven't, you're stuffed.
So in other words, there's probably going to be a little cottage industry of backdating EMC reports in some sort of country.
I don't know. You'd have to have the report in place already, because you won't be able to get it after the event. It's a big thing. I make a video today, and I just basically said, what this has produced is confusion. Nobody knows. Brendan Schulman couldn't work it out. I had to correct him on his interpretation. Everyone's left confused because there's ambiguous terms. There's vague references. It's typical of a bureaucrat who had to get this done by 5 o'clock. It's 4:30, and he's still got 2 cups of coffee to drink.
That's the issue is the bureaucrats.
Yeah, but they have been saying, or the actual document says foreign drones.
Yeah.
Foreign drones.
Well, that's what Philip wouldn't believe me when they said Philip thought I got that wrong. People didn't believe when I said no, it says foreign, because of course everyone's set up to expect it to be DJI and Autel 23rd or today. We knew it was coming, known for a year. That must be what it was. AVSI's press release was plainly created for today. It was like, whoa.
When you see my next video, you'll see what this is actually supposed to achieve, and why it's been done the way it has, and why there's no specified countries. It's actually something. I believe that this won't have much effect immediately. They've had the power, but they may not. They probably won't use that power immediately in the broad terms that we're looking at. But it is part of a longer game, and it's very bad news. And I've laid it out in my video, but I won't tell you because that would spoil it for you.
I think that we will see, drones from likes of Autel and DJI. I think we will see those drones having, it might not be all those drones, but it could well be certain drones that will be allowed in, next year or from this date or from yesterday. I think this is a bit of cat and mouse, and it will come down to and I think that they will probably hammer them as much because they can't, because the US cannot compete at the moment. They can't compete. There's no way they can compete.
But you've got to remember that they don't care. The politicians,
I know.
They put tariffs on everything and said, the foreign countries will pay. No, the Americans are paying. That they misrepresent a lot of stuff, or either that or they don't know what the hell they're doing. And when it comes to the drones, I think they will stop the Autel and the DJI new drones. But I mean, let's face it, they're already stopping DJI drones on other grounds. Already. So I don't see them backing off anytime soon. But this much broader coverage for batteries and motors from any foreign location, I think that is part of a longer term plan, which is really bad news.
Yeah.
So
I heard today from certain sources that that there was NATO projects going on here in Finland. And there was the Americans, and you had the Polish guys, and you had the Finnish guys, and the Swedish guys, and all this, with their own solutions, FPV solutions, and all the rest of it. And apparently the Americans were not even interested. They weren't. It was just a case of we don't care, and that's what they basically said. We don't care. They
realised they won't be able to have access to it anyway.
Yeah. And it was funny how that person said that. Because this there was some event or something last week.
I don't think they're going to be invited to the events moving forward. I can't see it happening. I think. Well, I mean, I'm sorry, Carl. We're talking for America here, but I think that you're a danger of creating a sort of a wall around America that's going to prevent innovation coming in and out. It's good news for you. You're setting up motor manufacturing, so it's good news for you. But will you be able to make? You're going to have to make thousands and thousands and thousands of motors next Friday morning, 9 o'clock. You know,
how does pricing stack up?
Right. Well, and so the challenge that I've run into, so I used to make race car parts as well, right? And so, like for example, oh, my hat fell off. But so I used to produce aluminum racing wheels, right? That's one of my designs, and when I was looking at trying to build these in the US or Europe, even to a very high standard, I made sure my wheels meet like TUV standards and the like Department of Transportation standards. And to accomplish that build quality in the US or Europe, the base price alone made it prohibitive to do so, right? And that's because our taxation, our cost of living in the US and Europe is so high at a base level. We've priced ourselves out of competitive manufacturing as a Western kind of collective. And then you throw in all the OSHA and the environmental standards and all the certifications and all those different requirements that we start adding fees and layers and bureaucratic systems, and it could take 5 years to get a facility approved to produce something that I can get produced in Asia for, 1/32 the price, and I can do it tomorrow. So to get, this is Carl's opinion. You can tell me to piss off. That's perfectly fine. The only
Don't worry, we will.
No, that's I'm more than happy for it. The only way we're going to get ourselves even trying to be competitive in manufacturing again is by force, right? If you look at the carrot and the stick, the carrot doesn't work if people don't.
What do you mean by force, though? You mean you can't have labor camps over there? What do you mean by force?
By making it the only source of supply.
Oh, okay.
Making ourselves have to produce these things, right? So whoever said that, making it the source of supply by force. So if we're not allowed to buy these components from, wherever in Asia, China, whatever, we're going to have to figure it out here in the US. And that's what I mean by force.
But that could take time. That could take, as you said yourself, 5 years.
It will, absolutely.
You don't have that.
And so one of the things I can do is I have all these machines that I can source out of Asia, right? So winding machines to wind the stators for BLDC motors. I can get those machines out of Asia for, $15,000 each. I can import them here to the US. So we're allowed to use the machines, even to meet NDAA and well, I think the blue list is gone now, but to meet NDAA standards, I can use machines that are made in China, but I just can't produce the parts outside the country, right? So
one of the problems
there's going to be give and takes on all this stuff.
If you look at a lot of Chinese-made stuff, like you can buy a completely finished product from China for less than the price of buying the raw materials in another country. So how are you going to possibly bring the prices down to a level that the market can bear when you're facing this huge overhead?
A good example. You're right. No, you're absolutely right. That has been one of my biggest complaints. Like I started into manufacturing, like entrepreneurship while I was still active duty Army Special Forces guy. I had side businesses where I'm producing race car parts and all that. And for me to be producing my own like flat carbon fiber sheets, if I want to cut drone frames, I'm spending more just on the materials than if I were to buy prefabricated carbon fiber flat sheets from China and ship it. right? So I agree with you. It's hard.
Yeah, it's going to
Well,
be, that's going to change
Alf-
the nature of the industry, isn't it?
Well, and you know, you're right. It is going to change the nature of the industry. I think companies are going to have to be comfortable with lower profit margins because everything in the I know industry standard in selling products in the West is a 300% markup minimum, right? And we got to be okay with a 10% product markup. You know, we're profiting 10% over cost instead of 300% over cost or 1,000% over cost. So that's step one. And then automation is going to be step two. We have to automate everything.
Well, yes,
right.
Yeah.
Well, people instantly say of DJI, well, it's a cheap labor. It's a cheap labor. Barely a person touches the drone in the production line.
Part of it is cheap labor, right? That depending on how you look at it, because if you go rewind backwards all the way to sourcing those materials, like it's a person that's loading machines with the carbon fiber cloth to produce whatever, right? It's a person still injection molding. It's still dirty factories, like the 5-star sterile laboratory factories that we see floating around in videos are curated. Like that's just to show us like the flagship few factories that have the capabilities, but the 90% of the labor is still done by hand with, you know, people that are earning $2 to $3 a day. And I'm going off a direct personal experience that I've you know witnessed in Thailand, Philippines, Turkey, even. I've been in and out of factories in Turkey that produce stators and copper windings and things along those lines. So the flagship factories are great, but it's still bulk majority is people.
It's like Amazon's shopping when they had those people looking at the cameras in India or something. It was supposed to be all AI, but it wasn't.
The thing is, who wants to who wants to invest in a company where your profit margin is 10%? You know, so
and the other problem is that how can you be competitive on the international market? Assuming most companies in America would like to export product, if you're burdened with such huge overheads, you can't make a competitive product on the world market when others are buying cheap stuff from China and becoming a systems integrator.
Right. Well, okay. So I'll use my Thailand experience again. Right. Let's look into this. So Thailand is next door to China. And I get requests from the government of Thailand on, you know, a weekly or biweekly basis now because they want American equipment, because what they've been getting from China, either the physical equipment is not up to standard because they're getting the cheaper stuff because China exports the premier things to the West, or the human side of it with their experiences, either customer service or the government, like the CCP government. They're getting exploited. They're having bad experiences. They're having, you know, the trust is fractured type of thing. So they're asking me, how do we get Anduril? How do we get this? I'm like, well, you need a bigger budget. You need $40 trillion in debt to start with. But we can get Western products that are, you know, a couple tiers down from the Anduril microwave cannon, right? Or we can build these products in Thailand using Western methods, Western standards, and now we're building a Thai product. So I think you're going to see a landscape shift as a whole where nations need to be more self-reliant in producing their drones and their counter-drone equipment at the same time.
Yeah, I think there's going to be an element of that. End of globalism. The Anduril thing's interesting because their main man the other day was saying, you know, don't get distracted by Ukraine. Don't get distracted by the small stuff. You know, that's not the things to build. I thought that's very interesting. I think they might actually be facing a problem of building stuff that too expensively that people won't actually need. They might have pitched at the wrong products. So I'm watching them with great interest now because they make flippant nice gear, really excellent gear. But my word, it's expensive.
Gear, right?
Yeah, it's beautiful gear, but it's expensive. really expensive. It'll be your truckload of small FPVs. So I think in the military market and the thing that everyone's trying to jump into now, I think the dust hasn't settled on what exactly.
He's got cool. Carl's got some cool toys. Look.
Oh, here we go. That was toy. Oh yeah,
giving the hobby a fair name.
Giving the hobby exactly.
That's.
Oh, look at that. Now,
there's a lot of area under those props. Don't you get a lot of deflected prop wash?
Well, it's really cool actually. So like I'm going for it's actually a motorsports wing. So it's supposed to be upside down like that on the back of a race car, right? But what you get with motorsports airfoils is super high lift at super low drag, because race cars are only moving 100 to 150 miles an hour generally. So when I'm running this just at a hover, I'm getting forward thrust across the wing elements. So it's naturally forward thrusting, which is showing me that my wing and my setup is working the way I want it to. So it's generating lift and thrust at the same time, just at a hover. But my point is that we can use a cheap flight controller, cheap camera, cheap video transmitter, right? Cheap motors. These are T-motors, so they're overpriced. But and then the drone itself is less than a spool of filament, so it's less than $20. And we can build it. We can print them in a modular way to where, that's a couple pennies to print, right? We just need to start looking at alternative methods for manufacturing and something that is not cost prohibitive. So if we're trying to do, 50,000 pieces at a time injection molding runs, then we need to invest in large factories, right? And that takes a lot of startup capital. But if we are running in go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just wondering, how did you come at the relationship of those two wings there? What was of the canard? Well, it's not a canard, is it? But how did you come to that distance as against the load? I'm just quite intrigued with the aerodynamics of that.
Man, honestly, like I'm a big proponent of just put things together and test it and then make modifications from there, like iterate, right?
I'm glad you said that. And I bet you went, if it looks right, it probably is right.
If it looks right, it'll probably work 70%.
Yeah,
70% is good enough to start, right?
Get yourself a supercomputer, use CFD. It has to be done by the book.
Exactly. Well, no. I'm not sorry. I'm not making fun of you, Carl. It's just I just intuitively I know that when people design like that,
I just don't care. So.
But when people design like that, intuitively I know it's the right way to design, and it'll be interesting. It's like also it's going to 3-bladed, 2-bladed, 5-bladed props. There's all sorts of things you can do that, and I wondered why you didn't just have a little bit of tilting in the way or the mount, so that forward flight became the difference between a hover. But anyway, no, it looks great, and that is going to do what several of those Anduril products, expensive Anduril products, can do for a more reasonable price, shall we say?
Sounds like a cure for
and my whole point was trying to. How do we reuse old things, right? Like we have 1 billion RPG-7 rounds laying around. I have another one that I'm working on.
Don't we all?
For a 60 millimeter mortar to like a baby Shaheed body style, and you stick the mortar inside. Now you have a long range 60 millimeter mortar, right? And how can we reuse things that we'll find on the battlefield, like in Ukraine, where you see people are just duct taping RPGs to a quadcopter, which is great. But you still run into supply chain issues, right? So if we can eliminate part of the supply chain issue, we make everything way cheaper. So we can, on my $700 3D printer, I can FDM print one of those drone bodies every few hours for less than $20, right? And then I stick all my stuff on the outside. It just has to fly good enough to get to the target. And then we can iterate and make improvements as we go.
Yeah, and you can in fact overdo it, can't you? You can
Yeah, I mean,
iterate to
you
a point of pointlessness. You get to a point where it's good enough, and that's good enough.
Yeah, good enough is near enough is the enemy. Well, perfection is the enemy of near
Perfection
enough.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And think you could
Right.
recycle all that optical fiber and knit a lovely cardigan.
You could, yes.
Absolutely.
You
And
could.
Christmas time, you throw some LEDs in it, and then you kind of just get a dancing sweater, kind of, you know.
Yeah. It's all there. It's all there.
We're limited by our imagination at this point, and our willingness to try things that are uncomfortable, right?
I suppose so, but then that's why. Well, no, it's going to be an awful thing that I'm going to say now. That's why Ukraine has a bit of an advantage, because they haven't got time to think too hard about stuff. They're just going to make it, try it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Move on to the next thing. A terrible way to have to do your research and development, but that is the immense.
But it works for them, and I think that if you were to bring in some kind of process, and where everything stops and stuff, that's when things don't go anymore, and that's when they don't have the advantage, because they are just literally working to how things are going in a way. I mean, it sounds bad to say that they are winging it, but in a certain way they are. But it's working for them. It's working to their benefit, and they have the confidence, and a bit of arrogance as well. I mean, you look at what they've done with that truck, and they had all those drones in it, and they flew it right up to the end of the airfield in Russia and launched a swarm of drones into it and blew up. I mean, you can't get any more arrogant than that. That's
and they've pulled off some stuff as well, like attacking the completely eastern side of Russia, right? So if we take that Ukrainian mindset, like one of the hardest things I found, and it is actually what pushed me to try to do business in Thailand. One of the hardest things of doing business here in the US is it just takes so much capital to get started, because we put so many constraints and restrictions in place. Where, me designing this drone here in my kitchen and then taking it outside for a test flight, like I'm going to violate 60 different laws. Like I'm exaggerating, but I'm sure it's not too far off if I really try to think about it. And it turns in, like we said before, it turns into a 5-year process just to get approved to do these things. And then you're 5 years behind with the product that you pitched everybody. It's irrelevant now, right? So I think really figuring out, I really hope that, within the next 6 months, hopefully by June of next year, we see all these other things that we need to change with this ban to make it easier for our companies to do this design and iteration and development of products, right? We're going to have some economic kind of, I don't want to say subsidizing, but we might need some economic subsidies the same way China does, right?
Stimulus.
We're going to need
stimulus.
Don't you guys already
easing.
get subsidies? But don't you get subsidies through all your government procurement programs, all your CBIR programs? Those are all subsidies. No one likes to call it, but those are no different.
I don't
get
know.
subsidies
I don't use any
through
of that
tax
stuff.
credits, through grants.
Well, I mean, but you can wind it all the way. You can wind it back a little bit further. Really, what you also need to make sure you're doing is young engineers getting out of school and college. You can't. If we're looking at a long-term plan here, you need to be getting some youngsters into university now. They're going to have the skills for when Carl's Motor Factories going full chat and singing in 5 years' time. That's great, but you need those engineers to be using the motors and other things. So it's a whole bigger picture thing. You can't just go boom, let's have I didn't mean to say boom, that's the wrong thing in this military context, but you can't just go flick a switch and suddenly have all aspects of engineering working. Look, Think Flight's in the comments. He's a brilliant engineer. He's probably has some opinions on that.
If they cease the supply of parts, there'll be no STEM program. So all the people that would have been engineers and so forth, they'll be doing arts degrees and baking muffins. And shit,
there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with those. Now we need bakers. I like eating. It's fine. It's fine. Don't be elitist over these things. But no, I hear what you're saying. Well, look. We haven't really touched it now, but look what it's going to do to the model aircraft hobby. But but we don't actually know what's going to happen. We don't know whether they're going to enforce any of this. You do. Well, fair enough. That's all right.
Yeah.
You know, that's the uncertainty. That's the trouble with this. It's the uncertainty, and we don't want it knocking off. The model aircraft hobby is already suffering enough as it is, and that's where our pilots and aviators and engineers of the future are coming from. So it needs encouraging.
And from an industry perspective, the worst thing you can have is uncertainty. You can't plan, you can't structure your finances, you can't set up your programs because you don't know what's going to happen. So everything becomes a surprise. So instead of an investment, it becomes a gamble. So the government should be creating certainty so that investors know that they can invest with confidence. But when things are uncertain, it's just a gamble.
Well, the money goes hides, and that's I think the thing with the announcement is. Anybody who's probably about to cut a check for investment is saying, if they're doing their homework, they're probably being like, wait, what happens to you, American company? If you're just getting funny money or money that people don't know, they'll just cut the check on speculation. But like, I don't know. I think what we see now is everyone's on Christmas break, I would assume, a large bulk of the world that is in this industry and directly affected, Western side. And people are probably, sitting there saying, okay, what the hell? And then no one's getting consistent messaging. Like you can, I think you could tell that AUVSI doesn't even know what's going on. It's like they were like, I think they were caught, flat-footed on this one too. Where, like what happens to these companies who have new revs coming out next year? New drones are in the works. They're gonna have to pause their development and say, wait, what am I exposed to, and what is my tolerance for exposure? So it's definitely one that like, I think this is not a COVID situation where the supply dries up, but I think it's a COVID situation where people stop spending. Like if I'm an end user, whether I'm going to buy DJI or not, I'm probably pausing. Whether I'm going to buy an American company, sure, but can the American company even meet the demand?
Yeah, I think that you have several, you have all these associations in the US, including AVSI and others, and they should be standing up for the drone industry. They should be,
I think they did. I think AVSI did, and they stood up the wrong way.
Yeah. But I mean, what I'm not actually trying to say is that they should have been together. There was no togetherness. There hasn't been togetherness from the very beginning, and that's been one of my most outgoing, let's say, opinions about the message that all these associations and they all take money from all these companies. They all, claim to represent and speak, and some of them will get suited up and go to the FAA, or they'll go to the Senate and try to speak to people and come out, have photographs taken, pat each other on the back, and come out with a positive message or whatever it is and stuff. And then they'll turn around and say, but you should be, send a letter to your senator, you should, and it's like, that's not how it should go. All of these associations should have been together. They should all have been in the same room. They should all have been putting out statements together, not separately, and having separate messages, because you can see them all having separate messages. It was like, they were all talking to separate senators or separate representatives in separate rooms, and that, I mean, you can probably say that this was how it was going to go from day one. I think that there would have been a chance if they were all in the same room together, and they were all.
I think that the meeting that's happened, perhaps it happened last December, and we're only just really finding out now. Not the 21st, as I said. I don't think anyone was expecting what was rolled out yesterday. Don't think anyone was expecting it at all, and it's put a great deal of uncertainty into the industry. AUVSI and AMA sold out to special interest. Well, perhaps it did, but this is unexpected, and we don't really know. We don't truly know what the impacts of this are going to be. And Carl's trying to set up a motor manufacturing business in America, and it's chucking uncertainty at him already, which he didn't have 2 days ago. 2 days ago, I'm guessing, Carl, you had a path, you had an idea of how you were going to get there, and now you're not quite so sure. Oh, No, maybe he's not. Can you hear us, Carl?
No.
We
No.
wave.
You know sign language.
No, no.
I know
Never
wave
mind.
language.
Wave language. Yeah, it's could this lead to the
Yeah.
resurrection of DIY in the hobby, says John. I think yes and no. I think certainly in the
I don't think enough
commercial,
people have the skills.
yeah, people do have the skills. People have the
I
skills,
don't think. I
and it
think. I
depends
don't
what you're
think like
doing.
I don't think I don't know. Some utility company is going to go and accept DIY
Wow.
over all their.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I hear you that. But I hear you there. But if you're a small surveyor's business, say 2 or 3 drones, you could do it yourself easily.
Yep.
Easily.
Are those
But not
guys?
if you're a massive company. And that's those are the businesses that you need to be successful and you need to grow into the bigger businesses, because that's going to increase everything.
They
We
tend to
don't
make up
need-
a huge amount of the employment. Most
Yeah.
employees work for small to medium-sized organizations, not for big corporates.
Yeah, that's like in
Yeah, we
Canada, 90%. But I feel like, are we beyond the time in the drone industry that two guys, like we're beyond the time of 2 guys in a Phantom? But are we like, I was talking about someone with this a week or 2 ago, where like being in the drone industry as a small company of like 4 or 5 people, it's hard, because you got to amortize those assets over only 2,000 hours times 5, so you have 10,000 hours to amortize those assets over the year. Whereas if you have 20, you can get more out of them, maybe.
Sure. Well, yeah, no, I hear that, but it depends what you're selling. If the data that you're selling or what you're creating with the drone is really built upon your skill that you have in survey or inspection, or that's a genuine specialist skill, not just here's a map, here's a picture. If it's based around a pre-existing genuine skill, so the drone is just a hammer or a screwdriver in the toolkit of a very professional person's toolkit, then you're away. I don't think that's what I personally, I don't think these big companies hiring in people to do inspections and things is a scalable business anyway. Having 1,000 users with Phantoms doing stuff or whatever, that's never going to work, because the real skill is people that turn stuff into actionable data and useful actionable data.
The thing is, when you have companies, think of it, if for example you're a joiner, right? If you're a joiner and you have a string of screwdrivers, and you use those screwdrivers, and then someone tells you one day you can't use those screwdrivers ever again, but that makes no sense to you. You don't understand why you can't use that anymore, because as you said, Gary, it's just a tool. So the drone they're using is just a tool. It's something that they use. They may be skilled at the surveying and stuff, but they'll maybe use the drone once, maybe twice a week, maybe even 3 times a week. It depends on the places. But it's so valuable that if they don't have that anymore, it has a huge impact on their project. It has a huge impact on the communication which goes on within the project. And there's so many people that are relying on that information. I know exactly, because when we do what we do every day, for every project that we have, we've got 300 people that are waiting for that information for each job that we do. 300 people are waiting on that information. And if you get one thing wrong, like if you, like sometimes our pilot, you'll get a bit, he'll just, he'll click something on the controller, because I always say that sometimes he gets a little bit kind of fancy, like he clicks live map, right? So he clicks live map by mistake, right? But he clicks live map. That will then create a notification that will be sent to 300 people long before the map's ready. But they have no clue. So they will be looking, they'll be going, what the hell is this? And so then you have to go, don't press that button. Please don't press that, because this is, but they need this. It's so damn important. I mean, and if you have to go to them and say, you're not going to have this anymore, they don't know why. And if you say because the government's banned it, what? How have they banned this? This makes no sense. So yes, it's going to affect all the drone companies. But when you start getting to all these large companies that do rely on this and do need this, then it's going to be a huge problem, because they will be the ones that are going to say, this is not acceptable. So at some point down the line, they'll start moaning at other people and say, because they're not going to be spending any more money in order to make sure that they can get that stuff done in any other way, because they know they're saving money, doing that way, and it won't work any other way. So I think that it will have an effect at some point, but that is how I see it anyway.
But you're not Donald Trump's son. That's all he's doing about matters. Don's looking after his boy, in my honestly held opinion, protected by freedom of speech laws around the world. He's looking after his boy, and he's using his best mate, who's one of his biggest supporters, the head of the FCC, to do it.
What's interesting is yesterday they got a $3.75 million deal. Surprise. Yeah. Shocking.
But the thing is that it's not that it's happening isn't the shock. That it's happening so openly, blatantly, and without shame. That's the shock.
Or is it? Yeah, I don't even know at this point. I don't get it. I don't get it. You know what though? I think we have to look at the past and say, what happened to Harley when they did this? Did it really benefit the company long term when they tried to knock out the Japanese from entering the market? Does this actually work long term? Is it sustainable? Do you go and create a solution that competes locally, but you get disconnected from the international market, that you don't actually, once you go to grow, you're capped? Because there's a point with like a small company going to 10 to 100 person. I assume they could service the US market. I'm sure there's a plenty of an opportunity, but there's a certain point where investors want more and more. They want you to go public or get acquired. And if you don't have an international focus, and you have been focusing on the nuances between each country, and that you need USB-C now instead of the Lightning charger, or you need a segregated FTS for Europe versus America where you don't, you lose track of those nuances. And I don't know, I've worked with American manufacturers where they're very focused on US, which is fine. Like, that's their market. That's what they want to focus on. And we always, appreciate laser focus. But then if you go for a growth opportunity, but you can't execute because you didn't think of it from early days, then you're handcuffed. So does this result in 5 years from now, all these companies who had the potential, but then they capped out?
Well, it's just like, I think America realizes they're not competitive on the international market anyway. DJI owns that. So why would you're not giving anything away by sacrificing your international competitiveness, because you don't have any. DJI owns that market.
On Skydio, you can't even buy in most countries. How can is Skydio popular in Canada, Josh?
A little, as an alternative to DJI, but they've got more competition with Parrot, and we don't have much of a Canadian industry, so there's not a Canadian player that's eating their lunch. We should have with Aireon, but that's another story. Who else would we use? DJI still 80-something%. You've got a little bit of Quantum, a little bit of Wingtra, a little bit of Brink, I think. So you're starting to see that competitive, but DJI still is the dominant, I would say.
Yeah, nothing brings down a plane in the hands of LRCMP better than a DJI drone.
The Skydio situation. Oh,
what
was I there? I said something very important.
Oh,
he hasn't paid his bill again, eh? Look at that.
He's throttled.
South African internet. It's all been used for Santa.
He looks, but when he does that, he looks really intelligent when he does that.
Except for the dribble that runs down his finger.
Yeah. I had to restart mine because my FBI guy was pulling my data too hard. Whatever FBI agent has the unlucky life of following me around.
Yeah, it's ITAR's not going to help America. And Americans the American industry keeps forgetting that it's handcuffed by ITAR, and that's not helping Skydio.
Well, so the thing there, that's why I've set up a lot of R&D in Thailand, right? Because if I design a product and I release a product outside of the United States, I'm not bound by ITAR.
There you go.
Unless the caveat will be is if I am using because I was in special forces for 20 years, right? So if I go and I build, I've been taught to do a lot of things. So if I go and I build a weapons manufacturing facility, the United States government's going to come knocking on my door, right? So
but
there's
basically,
but if I'm doing drones, if I'm doing commercial drones, commercial drone parts, and I'm releasing those designs and I'm doing my R&D outside the country, I'm not bound by ITAR the same way.
exactly.
If I intentionally start
Americans
weaponizing things like that guy,
like
I'm not
that.
going to launch anywhere, right? Like that's just an R&D project, and if Anduril wants to buy it from me, they can buy it from me.
But I think, and that's why Anduril and Co. are going to Europe and going to other places. It's not because they want to, it's not because they want to share the love and stuff like that. I don't think people in America realize if you have an idea in America, it belongs to America first. And
they criticize China.
I'm the most America first person before it was ever popularized by the current administration.
Well,
right?
yeah, I didn't mean that. I wasn't really referring to that phrase. I shouldn't have used that phrase. But there was an autopilot. There was an autopilot back in the day that was the chap went to Australia and started talking about his autopilot for exactly that reason. Then he returned to America and manufactured it. But because he talked about it in Australia and said, no, I was lying awake in Australia designing this, he could manufacture it in America, but it got around ITAR because it was an Australian idea. So yeah, I mean, who are we? So it's
well, and so this is, and I was listening to you guys while I was trying to get my internet back up. So here's another issue that we run into, right? So you can find this on my LinkedIn. I posted it public. July 5th, 2024 is when I posted it. And it's just a really quick analysis of US politicians and their affiliates receiving money from CCP, like directly, openly CCP affiliated agencies, right? Or entities. And like, for example, and this is, I did Democrats and Republicans. I'm a pretty apolitical guy. So like Hunter Biden received $600,000 from a CC-backed infrastructure investment company in 2017, right? 1.3 million collectively with the Biden family from State Energy Hong Kong Limited, right? If we go down here to Republican side, Senator Mitch McConnell, contributions through intermediaries and lobbying firms linked to CCP entities over $500,000. Lindsey Graham, 300,000 through PACs and other affiliates with Chinese linked companies, right? So the challenge we have is DJI became the dominant force because the CCP uses our own systems and our own laws against us very, very well, brilliantly well, right? And DJI is a great product. I will never knock it because it is a really, really good product. But it became a really, really good product because we let it. Right? Humans are naturally lazy. We want the easiest button. If I can just go buy, and I'll explain some context as well because I've run into this, directly, personally with another project I'm working on out of Asia. DJI's prices are able to be set where they are because there's no company that exists in China without being controlled by the CCP, especially if they're a global brand, right? They're able to price their products where they price them now because of market saturation, but in the beginning because of massive, huge subsidization from the CCP. They don't play by the same rules we do. They're brilliant for it. Like I'm not even mad because I think we should be doing the same shady stuff that they are on a broader scale. But we don't because we're beholden to our own laws that we wrote, right? And we will screw ourselves in effort to stay within our laws that we write. So DJI became massively, undoubtedly the dominant drone producer on the planet very quickly. And the other piece that they do really, really, really well is in one, industrial park, they'll have the injection molding facility for the outer bodies. They'll have the factory that's doing the motors. They'll have the factory that's putting together the camera. They'll have the factory, so it's just it goes from one station to the next, all within walking distance, and that's their whole industrial park. And they can produce an entire product in a semi-sealed infrastructure with a dedicated staff at each one, and they've got their flow down really well. And I think that is really how we need to kind of structure any chance we have at competing here in the US or in Europe or Canada. We can do the same type of things. And I actually wrote a short concept pitch of something similar to some representatives here in my state, and not for me, but just to set this type of environment up here in the state, right? Like I'm calling it a drone sandbox. What is that?
Well, this guy just saying, look, this. I'm sorry to disrupt you, but we're coming up to the hour, and I have to get this in. I had to get this in. Look at this guy saying DJI receives official US government safety clearance. All existing models approved for unrestricted import, sale, and operation. That's such bollocks. As I have, I just. There's no point trying to argue anymore on
he's
these.
Wanting attention. He's wanting attention. He's actually wanting the guy.
And he's got it. He's got it from me. He has got it. He has got that seal of approval.
Because it's not going to be official unless Gary Mortimer types in bollocks in the comments.
Yes. Oh, look how Ian's arrived. Oh, Ian's arrived for his special Ian hour.
Camera hour.
It's camera hour. Ian. He's arrived late to tell us. But it's sorry, Carl. You're exactly right. I'm not disagreeing what you're saying. What I also wanted to say to this sort of thing is, I've been wondering why there's been this narrative around they're going to brick the DJI drones, they're going to brick them. And I've only realized today the reason that narrative was starting to be generated, and I suspect it was pushed by the DJI marketing people, was because now it's allowed them to say, oh, look, you can still fly them. It's not as bad as we thought it was going to be. Look, everything's all right. It's so that today they can spin a positive narrative. And old Nitin Gupta, yeah, he's spinning the positive narrative as well. Miriam. There we are. There we are. Hale. There we are. You can see the names. There we are.
Right. We will never escape when, like, technology, especially dual-use technology like drones, will forever be intertwined with the intelligence community, with military operations, with government regulation, geopolitics, blah, 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 right? Oftentimes the most lobbying money wins, in the US at least. And it doesn't mean it's a superior product. It just means you have a better lawyer, lobbyist, marketing team.
And it's their job. It's Skydio's job. It's your job as a company to try and get the competitor out of the way. That's fair enough. That's DJI been very, very cool. No shots fired, and they've got spy devices all around the world. Well, fair play to them. Well done. Skydio and Co.
They did exactly what they're supposed to do.
Exactly. Skydio and Co. have to try and get rid of the competition. That's what they have to do. That's the way the world works. It's all fine in modern war.
Carl, see, you rhymed off all those people and all that money. Are they not going to want a refund?
No, it's
all DJI on their lobbying money.
They're not going to want a refund because it's not really worked, has it? It's like, I thought that money was to be I don't know.
There's no guarantees, not in politics.
I that's it. Like I know lobbyists. I've done enough in and out of DC to know how that all works, and I know that I don't have enough pocketbook to. Hi, my daughter's jumping in. Sorry. Hey, I'm on a phone call. Can you go? Oh, she's still
no, right.
I just stole her head.
Well done.
So I know that I don't have enough money to do it. And so I'm bootstrapping companies, and I would rather do it my way than play that game. And if I'm successful, I'm successful. I'm not. And I know I still have my personal ethics, my personal, standards in place at the end of the day. And if I hit it and I get a little bit lucky and I make the right product at the right time for the right people, then I can still win that game.
I think, but I think also you know, I mean, I don't know a great amount about, you know, the US politics, but I do know some things. I do some reading. But, you know, from what I do know, that this lobbying, from what I've understood at the beginning, and everyone was saying really, really bad things, all the rest of it. But of course, it's legal. You know, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, but as you say, it is unethical, but it is legal. It's perfectly it is within your right to do. So,
Right.
you know, so what
politicians are never going to ban it because you don't bite the hand that feeds you.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Now look,
So
we've gone over the hour, but Ian. Sorry,
Go ahead.
Carl. I've just said we've gone over the hour, but Ian's joined us. So, Ian, I'm going to hand it over to you because plainly you got something to say.
No, I've only come on to say Merry Christmas.
Oh, well, fair enough.
New Year.
That's a good one. Look,
Have you done your predictions for next year?
Oh yeah.
predict? No, it's not.
That's the new year. That's our next stream, isn't it?
That's
Predictions
there.
for
You
next year.
go. There you
Yeah.
go. Well done. Thanks. Nice. Thank you for rescuing.
That's why I get big money.
Yes, where you get the big money.
it is actually Christmas here right now. So right now, where I am, it is now Christmas.
Well, that can't be right because it's Christmas Eve here and we're ahead of you.
Yeah, but we celebrate Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve is Christmas.
Go out
got
of
it
here.
wrong.
You can't change
Someone
the
has to
date.
change that.
Yeah.
This isn't the Gulf of America.
Well, that's why I was
It's
surprised.
to history, right?
Exactly. And seems like Norway and was it all of Scandinavia does that, or just
Nordics, yeah.
it's all
yeah.
it's all of Scandinavia does that? Okay. So Scandinavia has won Christmas then. So at some stage in history they won Christmas because they get it
Because it's
first.
so cold.
But
Is it
they
'cause
do
it's cold?
celebrate 3 days. So it's Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and Boxing Day. So it's those 3 days that they.
That's one hell of a hangover.
It is indeed. It is indeed.
It is.
Starts in the morning.
Who is this Eve person everyone keeps talking about? You're so right there, John. Yeah, exactly. And Gippsland, that's they'll be having Christmas soon as well. All you people further around. So look, we've gone over the hour. Carl, thanks very much for joining us. I hope you'll come and tell us again how your motor building business is going, and when you get some, especially when you get some clarity. Because I think everybody is awaiting clarity now. And dear viewer, Merry Christmas to you. Even if you're like Stephen there and you already celebrate, have a lovely, safe time with your friends and family. And we'll see you again at 2100 Gin and Tonic next week when Bruce is going to be making the predictions compilation.
My Nostradamus gig.
In Nostradamus one, yeah. Everyone be very careful, be very safe out there, everyone. And we look forward to seeing you again in a week's time. And please have removed your hangovers by now.